Okay. Provincial government. As your elected public school trustee has requested, here's your research project on the provincial government. Create any form of presentation to answer these questions. I picked a video. It might be too boring if I just give in a Google document. So, yeah, let's read the rest of this paragraph. You cannot edit this document, so please don't skip that part. The link to the online book is located here. Okay, let's move on. What are the responsibilities of the provincial government of Alberta? What services are covered by the provincial government? Start with this link here. It just shows a link to the book. Yeah, this is easy. Some examples could include natural resources, driver's license, how old you have to be to drive/own an all-terrain vehicle, tourism, recreational, parks, museums, etc. Education, for example, PITs, health, and provincial roads. Next question. How are these services paid for? Page 268 in book. Just like how the municipal government responsibilities are paid for using property taxes, the provincial government gets their budget from income taxes. What were the two biggest areas of spending in 2007 and why? Education. Of course, education would be one of the top two in 2007. Education is mainly important, in my opinion, for our learning and our future. Etika. Health. There's literally no reason why health wouldn't be the most budgeted of the bunch. People are getting hurt everywhere really fast. So yeah, that's an obvious reason. I'm too lazy to go into that. Next question. What is a premier? A premier is a role on which he or she is the head of the provincial government in a territory or province. That doesn't mean that you vote for that particular person. You vote for the party. Who is our current premier? Rachel Notley, the New Democratic Party. How does a premier get elected? A premier gets voted in by the rest of his or her colleagues in their party, and then becomes premier of the territory or province. Or not, he or she is already the leader of that party. What are cabinet ministers? And what are they responsible for? Cabinet ministers are responsible for certain particular things. Each cabinet minister is in charge of their government ministries, such as Sarah Marjorie Hoffman, who is in charge of health, or Darren Billis, who is in charge of the economic development and trade. Who chooses them? Well, in that case, Rachel Notley, who is the premier. So the premier chooses them. What are provincial ministries? Give an example of 3 and what they are responsible for. Ministries are services divided into several sections on which cabinet ministers are in charge of. Examples could include Ministry of Agriculture and Food, Ministry of Health and Wellness, Ministry of Infrastructure and Transport. How does a law get passed in the Legislative Assembly? A bill gets introduced. This is also called the first reading. Then the bill then gets debated by principal. They debate whether or not the bill would be necessary. This step is also called the second reading. Once whether or not to reject this bill, the MLAs vote and debate these suggestions. This part of the process could change the bill severely. Once the first debate finishes, there is a last time to debate whether or not to change anything about the bill. They could praise it, ask questions. This is also called the third reading. Then, the vote is taken on whether or not to make this into a law. If it passes then, the lieutenant governor gives royal assent. Then the bill finally becomes a law. How does the lieutenant governor get his or her job? Him or her gets appointed by the governor general with the advice of the prime minister. Who is our current lieutenant governor? Lois Elizabeth Mitchell. Hey look, it's my future self. Yeah, I kinda forgot one question, so here it is. What is the role of the Lieutenant Governor? He or she represents the monarch. The Lieutenant Governor does not belong to any kind of party. The Lieutenant Governor does give royal assent to bills that get past the third reading, sort of like an approval. The Lieutenant Governor also opens and closes the session of the legislature. The Lieutenant also reads a speech at the beginning of each new session. The Lieutenant Governor does give royal assent to bills that get past the third reading. So the Lieutenant Governor does give the Lieutenant Governor does give royal assent to bills that get past the third reading, sort of like an approver. Sort of like an